My previous buying guide helped a lot of people, so I thought it was about time that I did an updated version. Let's talk about the Fujifilm X100vi and what I would buy instead. It is probably the most sought after camera in the world right now. Also an excruciating, eye-watering £1,600. Up to a heck of a lot more than that if you don't want to wait and wait and wait for stock. So I posed the question, if I had a budget of £1,600 or a heck of a lot less, what would I buy instead? And would it actually work out better in the long run? Here are the specs in a nutshell if you would like to pause and catch up. Otherwise, let's get stuck into it. All the prices I mention in this video are accurate as of August 2024, but as always, these things are changeable, but it should give you a good idea. Option 1, the Lumix GX8. For £509. We're off to a good start with the money. The Lumix GX8 has a micro four thirds 20 megapixel sensor, but because the lenses are interchangeable, we don't really need that hefty 40 megapixel sensor. We can just change the lens if we want to try something different. The GX8 also has IBIS and it is also weather sealed. You have the weirdest little EVF, which you can sort of look down into, which is a little bit strange, and also a full articulating screen. And no, you don't have to spray paint it, that was just me being weird. It does come in normal colours. You can't deny that the Fujifilm cameras are gorgeous, but in terms of functionality and spec, I do think you get a heck of a lot of camera for 500 quid. So we've got budget to play with. What lenses are we going for? First of all, I'm going with the Lumix 20mm f1.7. This gives us a 40mm equivalent, which is quite similar to the Fuji and preferable to some people. I love a 40mm. And it gives you a nice flat profile as well. So it's about as flat as the Fuji when you pair it with this lens. But the fun doesn't stop there because it's micro four thirds. What else can we buy? If I wanted a full weather sealed option, you would need to pair this with a weather sealed lens, and my lens of choice for that would be the Lumix 12-35 f2.8. Very fast, beautiful lens, and it is also quite cheap. It's like £399. So with the GX8 and two lenses, that still brings us massively under budget at £1,142. We could stop there and save some cash, but why stop? Next, I would add some zoom. This is a 70 to 200mm pancake zoom. It's absolutely tiny. This is the Lumix 35-100 and it's f4 to 5.6. So a little bit slower, but come on. It's tiny. That would mean with this setup, we'd have every focal length covered from 24mm to 200mm in full frame terms. So a very versatile kit. And you can pick one of these up for £244, which is an absolute bargain if you ask me. So for that full kit, we're now up to 1,386 of the King's English pounds. And you've saved a whopping £214. With that change, you could buy 202 bags of Watsits. So, what's the next camera? Next, let's keep things simple. The Lumix LX100 Mark II. You can pick these up for around £829, and my goodness, it's tiny, it's a very, very premium, pocketable camera. You have a Leica branded lens, which is fast and sharp and delightful, and you have more versatility with the lens as well because it isn't the prime lens. So what would I buy with the change? There are no video features to speak of really on the LX100 Mark II, but the good news is you've saved that much blooming money, you could buy a DJI Pocket 3. Now I know that sounds really glib, but I've filmed so many videos with this recently and the quality is excellent. It's actually shifting my perspective a little bit to maybe, instead of looking for one camera that can do everything, why not have something small and photocentric and then something small and video-centric? And then your options are quite literally limitless. So the LX100 Mark II and the DJI Pocket 3 would give you £1,318, still cheaper than the Fuji. With the 282 quid that you've just saved, you could buy a kilogram of jelly snakes, a family ticket to Alton Towers, you could all have a little competition, try to eat them at the top of a roller coaster, and then you could adopt a donkey for you and 16 of your friends. I mean, seriously, what did Marco do? This next option I like to call the lenses for days option. Do you know how many micro four thirds lenses you could buy for 1,600 quid? So many. Anyway, camera first, the Lumix GX80. We have an EVF, we have IBIS, we have an articulating screen, we have interchangeable lenses and a micro four thirds sensor. It's a beautiful, compact, really, really underrated camera. It's one of the best cameras I've ever owned. It's just not depreciated in price because it's so blooming popular. And the best bit, you can get it for dirt cheap. This classic micro four thirds camera is currently around 369 quid. Bargain. Now, let's go shopping, bitches. I'm gonna start with the 20mm because it is honestly one of my favorite lenses. This is a 20mm 1.7. Next, we'll have the 35-100 again, the pancake lens for 244. And then, why not? Let's go wide. Let's cover all the focal lengths. How about the Olympus 9-18, which is currently around 259 quid. This lens is so good, I've bought it twice. It's beautiful. I have a dedicated review on pretty much most of this stuff. And I did say this was the lenses for days option. Let's add in a nifty 50. Let's get the Lumix 25mm f1.7 for a very good price of 139. And while we're showing off, why don't we go macro? Let's get the Olympus 60mm f2.8, which is a 1:1 proper macro lens. Doubles as a portrait lens if that's something that you're not into, and still dirt cheap. You can pick that lens up for £344. So, with the camera and 5 lenses, some of the very best lenses on the system, in my opinion, and a focal length covered from 18 to 200 in full frame terms, plus macro capabilities, it comes in at 1589, still under budget. You could still adopt Bossy Marco for 3.5 months with the change. Okay, so what about a luxury option? There aren't many cameras, admittedly, that are as sexy as the Fujifilm X100 line, but one that gives it the run for the money, in my opinion, is Leica. Ooh, this is the Leica T-Type 701. It is fully aluminium in one chassis. It has the cutest little pop-up flash that you've ever seen. It has a full, massive widescreen touchscreen on the back. It's absolutely a feat of engineering. I got a mad bargain for this not long ago. I got it for under 400 quid, but it has crapped up a little bit, unfortunately. But still, you can still get these in excellent used quality for 629, which for a Leica, which is also in the L-mount alliance, so all of the Lumix full frame lenses will fit this as well. It's such a gem. I've got a full video on this, which I'll link in the description as well. It's one of my favorite tiny cameras. If you want luxury, this is luxury. The Fujifilm X100VI doesn't even have a charger in the box. Look at the box that comes with this Leica. It has multiple drawers. It is an absolute experience from start to finish owning a Leica, and it is a truly luxurious experience that put the unboxing of the X100VI to shame. Even the limited edition one. You got a strap in the box, and that's it. Thanks, that's worth another £1,000. The Leica is an APS-C, just like the Fuji, but it's also interchangeable lenses, so you've got a lot more versatility. What lens would I pair with this? I would choose the Sigma 45mm f2.8. It's nice and slim profile, so it would still be a good everyday carry option. Even the cap is pretty. That's £682 savings for those keeping track. That gives us enough budget to buy a Pocket 3 if you would like your video options covered. You could even buy an obnoxious brand new yellow iPad to edit all your photos on. Or if you are a savvy person who likes innovative accessories, you could check out the iFootage monopod. I love this thing. iFootage are sponsoring this week's video, and this is their new monopod. As you can see, you can raise it and lower it one-handed. No more like faffing around with individual clips. It is a lifesaver. There's a pedal system on the bottom, and you just need to press it in, and then you have full control, and then you can press it again, and it locks. And these sorts of things are great for if you are shooting wildlife with heavy lenses, for example. I'd have killed to have this a month or two ago when I was in the Faroe Islands, for example. And one thing that I truly value about this monopod is how quick you can sort of quick release everything. So to take the head off, it's as simple as that. You can even put it back on one-handed. So if you are in the market for a monopod, perhaps with the money that you save in any of these buying guides, you could check this out. I'll leave a link in the description. I've got 2 more options for you for what I would buy instead, and I bet you've been anticipating this one since the start. the Olympus Pen F. I think this camera is the sexiest camera ever made, including the Fujifilm X100 series of cameras. It's a micro four thirds camera, 20 megapixels. It has IBIS, it has a flippy screen. It is absolutely gorgeous, and it does have a dial at the front so you can add in some delicious custom-made presets onto your JPEGs, like the Olympus monochrome is stunning. I still think it's worth 900 quid. Easily. And for the sake of this comparison, it gives us a shed load of cash to play with. The lens that I got with the Pen F originally was, my desk is a mess, the 17mm f1.8. You may see that I've bashed this to holy hell. It has a manual focus clutch, it's beautiful, really, really premium. And it's quite flat profile as well, so it does make the Pen F pretty pocketable. So that brings us to 1,100 quid. Still bags and bags of change for the purpose of this challenge. What else could you buy with the money? Well, I think you should still check out the iFootage monopod of joy. But you could also just buy a shed load of lenses or the Pocket 3, whatever you fancy, whatever you want. Possibly even a donkey called Marco. This one's going to be controversial, but I cannot, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going with the Lumix S9. Pitchforks at the ready. First of all, this is a full frame sensor, as you can see, so a much bigger sensor than the Fuji. You still have a flippy screen, you still have IBIS, much better IBIS, and much, much better video features. The S9 is the only camera that I've listed that also has better JPEG customization as well. The Fujifilm recipes are some of the best. You know, a lot of people buy the Fujifilm cameras so you can edit in camera essentially and get some nice looks. The Lumix S9 offers the same thing with a feature called real-time LUT, and it puts the Fujifilm recipes to shame. I've done a dedicated video comparing the two. The options that you can use on the Lumix system are endless. So if that's something that you were looking at the Fujifilm specifically for the JPEGs, the S9 does all that and then some. You can pick this up for 1,400 quid, so it's still cheaper than the Fujifilm X100vi. And there's some places online that can get it as low as 1,099 quid at the moment, which is insane for a full frame camera. And what would I buy with it? Well, I would buy the Sigma 45mm f2.8 because it's very small and it'll make the S9 nice and pocketable. But even if we're going with the budget that's over, I do think you get much more camera for your money. You can change lenses, you can set it up to be a big expensive camera rig or a small everyday carry. I just think it's a great, great underrated option. No, it's not as sexy as the X100vi, but it does come in fun colours. I do think it's a very underrated camera and one that you should definitely consider if you are looking at the X100vi, because there's a huge amount of crossover, but this does more. So let me know in the comments which kit you think would be the best for you. Let me know if there's any other options that you would choose as well. And watch some of the videos of the dedicated things that I've mentioned next. I'll link everything I've mentioned in the description.